Welcome in, everybody. Episode 2 of the BamaCast podcast, talking all things Crimson Tide, basketball, football, trying to get into some college baseball here or there. I mean, I'm not much of a college baseball guy as much as I am a big MLB fan. So, I mean, I don't know. I might have to start pulling for all things Crimson Tide, but at the very least, I try to, follow up with men's basketball and, of course, football, especially football. Got some stuff we want to talk about today. A couple things, and I will get to some basketball. Talking, is Nate Oats the coach for this basketball team? Entering year 2 this year, should we have college basketball in the fall, in November? Which, it's debatable about that. All you Crimson Tide fans out there listening, really do appreciate it. This will be a new weekly podcast. This is episode 2 last week, and I'm not, I'll try to recap what happened last week or whatever. I won't, like on episode 100, I'm not going to go through the list of the other 99 episodes or whatever and say, well, episode 1, we talked this, episode 57, we talked that. I'm not going to do all that. It'll take too long, but last week we talked about Alabama's new SEC schedule, and we talked about the defensive side of the football team and how it can't get worse, in my opinion, in 2020. It has to get better. Question is, how much will it get better? I mean, even if it gets better only a little bit, instead of giving up 40, well, they're not giving up 48 points a game, by the way, the most they gave up last year, of course, in the Iron Bowl against Auburn. Even if they only give up, the most is 30 or something, it's hey, it's better than 48, right? So we talked a little bit about that. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it. I've been trying to do a flashback, college football flashback video for the Kick 6. Now, I have edited. I've done everything but upload it. Problem is, it doesn't want to upload. Anything else will upload, but that doesn't want to upload. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to figure it out. But, it is what it is. But let's stay on topic here with Crimson Tide. First topic of conversation today. Does Alabama really need fans in Bryant-Denny Stadium this year? This is a good topic here. Greg Burns says that he wants fans. Just a week ago, it was announced that Alabama was limiting the attendance this year to only 20%. So we thought that there were going to be 0 fans this year. Well, Alabama comes out last week and they say, we're going to have fans, but it'll be 20% of the stadium. I would assume that maybe that does include the student section, right? I would probably guess that there's a certain amount, ticket holders, season ticket holders, or whoever, members, right? I don't think they're going to be selling tickets. I don't know if they're going to be selling tickets. I think it's one of those things if you already bought your ticket, hey, come on in. If you had already, prior to the pandemic, bought your tickets for Bama, Georgia, for the Iron Bowl, for Tennessee, that's in Knoxville, but you get the picture, folks. You understand it. Do they need fans in Bryant-Denny this year? And again, I brought this up quite a few times. Fans are important in college football. They create an atmosphere, right? They create an atmosphere for the team, for the stadium, the environment. We talk about football, and we talk about college fan bases and everything. We talk about going on the road in college football for a road game. For example, going to Happy Valley. Take Penn State in a whiteout. Just giving an example here. It's not tough because it's Penn State. It's tough because it's a whiteout. And in a whiteout, there's all these fans, and they get so pumped up, they're loud there. Fans create an atmosphere that we need in college football. They create an atmosphere that we all need in college football. It gets the players hyped. The players get the fans hyped. Vice versa. They're there to support their teams. They're there to cheer them on and watch them win and just have a good time. Now, I'm a bit surprised they're even considering letting fans in. I mean, I get Alabama and everything, and the fan base and Bryant-Denny is a huge deal for the Crimson Tide. But, even with this pandemic, I mean, it is kind of surprising. I figured all the way around fans were not going to be in the stands this year in football. I figured the SEC would tell every single SEC team, including Bama, including Georgia, including Auburn, or whoever, no fans. Well, I guess they've kind of made it up to the athletic directors. So Greg Burns says 20% capacity for the stadium. So expect some crowd at Bryant-Denny this year in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. But do they need fans? Do they need that environment for games like Georgia and Auburn? Or is it enough for Alabama that they're even playing at home? Did I remind you, and you can sit there, Alabama fans, and say all you want to, oh, well, Tua was hopping around on one leg, so that's why they lost against LSU, even though they brought him back, blah, 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 blah. That was at Bryant-Denny. They were down by 20 points, and more than half the stadium was filled with gumps, as they call Bama fans. Not trying to be mean or anything at all. I mean, I kind of like the term a little bit. I'm a gump. I'll admit it. I'm a gump. A Gump, Bubba Gump, Forrest Gump, Do we really need fans at Bryant-Denny this year? Do we really need fans at Bryant-Denny? I don't want to sit here and say we don't. I don't want to say we do. I don't know. I mean, we want fans. Obviously, everyone wants to play. Everyone wants fans. But with this virus, I mean, it's such a risk. But apparently they're going to go with it. And they're going to let fans in the stadium, but reduced capacity. So, I think it depends on the game. I'm going to be honest. I think Bama does need fans in Bryant-Denny this year. Just so we get that environment. Just so we have that feeling when we watch these games this year. Like, hey, it's hype in Alabama. It's hype in Tuscaloosa. It's hype at Bryant-Denny. Let's get it going and let's go beat Georgia, or let's go beat Mississippi State. Let's go beat A&M. Let's go beat Auburn. It's hype. The fans are there. They're pumped up and they're ready to go. Create the atmosphere in football, and we need that. This football season's already weird now as it is, and it's crazy. Kind of sad because there's no Big Ten or Pac-12. It's already weird. It can't get any weirder than it is right now, can it? I don't think so. So, the question, does Bama need fans at Bryant-Denny this year? Want fans? Yes. Need them? That's debatable. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine with or without a crowd noise, with or without fans. But, I say, listen, if Greg Byrne wants to let him in, let him in. Nothing wrong with it. If the fans want to come, let them come. I really don't know if Bama needs fans. I doubt they're desperate. I mean, they might be desperate because it's like, we want the experience and the atmosphere and everything. But, I mean, if they don't have fans, they can still beat a team like Georgia. They can still beat Auburn. They could still beat Mississippi State, A&M. They can still win those games with or without fans, I think. It'll be harder because it's not a whole lot of atmosphere or environment, as I mentioned. It won't be super loud or anything like it is. It'll be weird without fans. But I think they'll be fine with or without them. So I don't think they need them. But I guarantee you they definitely want fans this year. So we'll just have to wait and see. Fans are important in college football. There are some tough places. Again, I mentioned the Whiteout and Happy Valley. Look at Syracuse. Let's go ACC here. In the Carrier Dome, it gets pretty loud there from what I understand. I remember watching Clemson versus Syracuse a few years ago. Remember Syracuse beat Clemson. It sounded pretty loud in that game. I wasn't there, but I saw it on TV, and just hearing it on TV, it was loud, and they were hype. So, Bama, again, it's a debate. I don't want to say they don't need fans. I don't want to say they do. I mean, I think they'll be fine with or without them, as I mentioned. But, if the fans want to go to the games, and Greg Byrne wants fans in the stands, let them come. I mean, obviously some social distancing, wear your mask and all that. But, I mean, if Alabama wants it, let them have it. So, we will see what happens. Next topic of conversation. Let's talk the dynasty real quick of Alabama. It's a debate whether or not they need fans. This is a debate here. We talk about the dynasty's dying for Alabama. Oh, well, Alabama hasn't won a title since the 2nd and 26 play in 2017-2018, right? How do we know when it's over? Will it be when Saban's gone? Will it be if Dabo wins the title this year with Clemson and they take a lead in the playoffs 3-2 and we say that they're the program to which everyone else is measured? Now the Bama dynasty is over? There's a lot of debate over that. And again, I think Alabama is in a position right now that they probably can't afford to go another year without a title. I think this whole dynasty being dead thing is just a thing by the college football media or whatever, right? To start something. I don't want to say start something. I mean, I'm not going to turn this into political type stuff, but, they talk about... They talked about the 44-16 game. It was like, is Dynasty starting to fall apart? What happened last night? What happened for Alabama? Is the Dynasty starting to fall apart? Is it starting to show cracks? I can guarantee you this, if they don't win the title this year, people are going to start asking what's happening, since they've gone 3 straight years now without a title. Oh, what's happening with Alabama? I don't know when to call the dynasty dead. I don't know when to call it off. But I guess it depends on how you view it. Define dynasty. Is it winning a title every few years or so? Is it winning every other year? Is it winning whatever it is? Define dynasty for me, please. What would you consider dynasty being over, Alabama fans? Is it when Saban's gone? Because I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Obviously, when Saban's no longer with Alabama, his contract's up in like 2024, 2025, right? He could possibly sign another contract. Probably will. I don't know. But Alabama... the dynasty, we like to look at it and say the dynasty started back in 2009. We like to say the dynasty started in 2009, right? Because that was, Saban said it. This is not the end. This is the beginning, right? Define dynasty. I mean, people are starting to call Clemson a dynasty. You believe this? I give them credit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to even try to, rip on Clemson or anything. They're a good program. I like what Dabo's done. Wish he didn't blow us out like he did. But, even Dabo has said we're a long way from a dynasty. What does that tell you? He's only won 2 titles. Yeah, both of them against Alabama. He's done something no one's ever done. That's beat Alabama in a national title game. But he's done that twice. So define dynasty for me. It's not winning a title. Is it being consistent with how you win titles? I think winning half a decade in college football is a dynasty. If you win 5 out of 10, 5 of the last 11 or 10, whatever it is right now for Alabama, make the playoffs every year, make the title every year, every other year, if anything, right? That's a dynasty. It's not just one, but it's consistent. I mean, when you have recruiting number 1 or number 2 every year, and you're in the top 5 in recruiting every year, you're in the top 4 in the polls every year, you're winning a title every 2 or 3 years, that's a dynasty for me. When you can do it consistently, and you've done it for a period like Nick Saban has done it. So how do we know when it's over? I don't know. Honestly, the only thing I can think of is it'll be over when Saban's gone. But at the same time, I mean, even if he's there, if things really start to go downhill and he starts losing big time and he's losing it, which I hope doesn't happen, I don't think will happen. I think he's a motivator. He's motivated to, just keep going, not give up. He knows what's at stake, and he's willing to go out and get it. Again, I don't know, how you would define a dynasty being over. Obviously, it'll be over when Saban's gone. But what if Saban's there? How do we know when he's there the dynasty's over? Is it when he starts losing to teams he shouldn't, like Tennessee? Or losing to Ole Miss again? Remember they lost to him back-to-back years, 2014, 2015. Granted, they were down both of those years. 2015, they won the title. But, I mean, still early on in the season when they lost to him, they were kind of down. They had to find their rhythm with Jake Coker at quarterback. He was a transfer from somewhere, Baylor or whatever. Some Florida school, I think, actually. But anyway, define dynasty being over. When is it over for Nick Saban in Alabama? My opinion is if you really take a hit in a season. They went 10-2 last year. I think if Alabama does anything short of winning the title, even if they have a loss this year and they still find a way to win the title, we're good. But if they fail to win the title, I'm just gonna stop here with this talk. You guys get what I'm trying to say. I don't want to say I'm gonna guarantee you that it's over if they don't win the title, but there's definitely some question. If they stop recruiting the way they're recruiting, and they stop winning every year, and they just stop, being consistent like they've been, there's some question marks. Seriously. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But again, define dynasty for me. Definitely comment down below and define dynasty. And Bama fans, you give me your thoughts. When do you think the dynasty will be over for Alabama? Comment down below. Definitely. Other fans, of course, if you're listening, can comment too. So let's see. Moving on to basketball. I'll talk some basketball and stuff on here too. Talking basketball, first year head coach. Actually, it'll be 2 years this year. Coach Nate Oats. Is he the guy for Bama men's basketball? Right? I think he kind of proved something last year. I really do. I think he could have made a run in the SEC tournament. Probably wouldn't have won it because the teams like Kentucky, if he keeps recruiting the way he's recruiting right now, I mean, they signed a couple good guys in recruiting this year. Avery Johnson before Nate Oats was a really good recruiter. He just couldn't coach. I think Nate Oats proved that he can coach this team. I mean, they beat Auburn, who was ranked number 4, and won 15 straight games last year before they came to Tuscaloosa and Bama beat them. That's a heck of a win. They lost on the road. Most of their losses were on the road. They did lose to Auburn on the road. They can win at home. And even the games that they lost were really close too. So Nate Oats kind of proved something. He can take this team. And I like what he did at Buffalo, winning conference championships in the MAC. What's that, like Mid-American Conference or something? I don't know what it stands for. I don't know what the heck it is. Someone let me know. But he kind of proved something at Buffalo. And I think he can prove something this year with the Tide. If they end up having basketball in November, just go ahead and scratch out last year. Who cares? The virus came in. You couldn't do March Madness, blah, blah, blah. It's over. It's done with. Move on. I'm not going to sit here and say that Nate Oats is going to win Bama a tournament, in like NCAA tournament. But give him a few years in recruiting. I think he can prove to be the guy, and he can start winning the SEC a little bit at least and competing. This was a team that in Avery Johnson's final year last year, you get what I'm saying. They made the national invitation, but lost to like Bowling Green State or North Dakota State, whoever the heck they lost to. It was bad in the national invitation game. So of course they can have a chance. They have the talent there. But does Nate Oats have what it takes to push this team forward? Does he have what it takes to fuel the Crimson Tide men's basketball team and win the SEC, get over teams like Georgia, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU? Can he do it year in and year out and be consistent? I think road games is where he's messing up. At least last year. Unfortunately, you lose guys like John Petty and Kyra Lewis. Or Kyra Lewis, I think, is coming back. Didn't they lose like Herbert Jones or whoever? They lost a couple key guys to the NFL draft. They're now on NFL rosters somewhere. But they returned quite a few guys coming back. They're experienced. They got some young guys coming in, so we'll see what happens. But I think Nate Oats in a couple years will prove to be the guy that Alabama wants him to be and the coach that they want to get out of Nate Oats. But we'll just have to wait and find out. So, again, quick recap. Nate Oats still has to prove he's the guy for Alabama. Bama fans probably don't need fans this year. Although they do create an atmosphere at Bryant-Denny. But we will just have to wait and see what happens. So, anyway, I do hope that you guys enjoyed today's podcast. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Really do appreciate it. And we hope to see you here next time on the Tidecast podcast. We talk all things Crimson Tide. Really enjoyed you guys listening. And we'll see you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you later. Roll Tide.